From Variety, celebrating more than 118 years covering the business of entertainment, this is the Award Circuit Podcast. Selena Gomez has been very open about her struggles with anxiety, but feels like she's gotten a hold of it as she gets older.
I think age, you start to care less and less about things that are negative or bring you down. I think it's natural for everyone to get caught up in it every now and then. It's impossible to ignore sometimes. There's just ugly things, and it's like, I'm just so grateful that I like where I am, and my anxiety is still there with most things, but I just work on it every day.
I'm Michael Schneider, and on this episode of the award-winning Variety Award Circuit Podcast, we talk to Selena Gomez about Only Murders in the Building, winning the Best Actress prize at Cannes for Emilia Perez, and more. Also on this episode, the Sympathizer star Hoa Xuande talks about his breakout role. And the Roundtable discusses the limited comedy and drama series categories as nominations voting comes to a close. It's all next on this edition of the Variety Award Circuit Podcast. Stay close. Hey, everybody. It is Variety's Awards Circuit Podcast Roundtable, the patented roundtable. The thing you're really here for is our dulcet tones talking about the Emmy season as we wrap up voting. I am TV editor Michael Schneider, joined with the one and only Emily Longaretta, who already I can tell, like, there's a lightness. There's a weight.
All of our Emmy issues are out from phase 1. Phase 2 is just around the corner, but I'm about to go on vacation, and I'm not thinking about that right now.
This is senioritis. This is
exactly what it is, senioritis, because I'm like, 72 hours away from vacation time, and I'm there already.
Sense the calmness in her voice.
Yeah. That sounds
just so calm.
My apartment looks like it was hit by a hurricane, but it's fine.
The
packing begins.
Okay. It's like, what happened at your apartment?
There's a lot of outfits that I need to decide.
That's right. You're doing Italy up.
I'm doing Italy up. I'm bringing so much clothes. So
you're rippling it up. Rip it up. Rippling it? Is that a verb? Yes. Don't kill anyone.
She'll be living under the Tuscan sun.
Yes, I'm
rippling it up.
That is better. That is, of course, Jazz Tanke there. That is Clayton Davis sitting across from me.
That is.
Yes. So, welcome, everyone. The first big piece of news that we should talk about is the submissions are out, and Clayton, the town is shocked. There is outrage. Arms are up in the air. People, dogs and cats living together. Everyone's sort of like, what happened? What's going on? Even though we knew that volume was down, there was a chance that there would be fewer nominees because of the crazy TV Academy math that it depends on how many submissions are out there, how many nomination lists nominees there are per category. And nonetheless, there's a real drop.
Yes. So the big news, because we've Peak TV. Remember that time when we had Peak TV and everything was like
2 years ago. That was 2 years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
And I think what was most eye-opening on my part, and I think we spoke about it a lot here at the Roundtable. We kept calling limited series where all the good stuff is, and there were 49 submissions this year. So I don't know if it's just like it's where all the good stuff is in a concentrated pack volume of a cluster. But we have 107 in drama and 73 in comedy. And I think what's most annoying by it, which I believe you address in your column this week that will be out by the time you're listening to this, is if the submissions for a series followed the same rules they do for acting, we would have 6 drama nominees and 6 comedy nominees. And that would feel appropriate given the year that we have.
Yeah.
I was speaking to a network yesterday, and 2 things that we were pretty much in agreement on. Not a lot of people have voted yet. There's a little bit of an apathy of like, I'll get to it, or like, maybe I won't vote. And the other thing is people are having trouble filling out 8 slots for drama, especially, but just they think like on both sides, and comedy as well, they're having trouble selecting 8. So I wonder if people are just like, 5's enough, and then you go 4th.
Interesting. Well, I still stand by my. I'd like there to just be an even 10 in both
with no limited series. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
More so than ever now.
No, that's the thing. Is limited is not a genre.
Yep.
So like, just get rid of it, and keep drama and comedy. Go to 10 on both, and
give us a new series category.
Maybe or dramedy. Because so many of these are not dramas.
Yeah.
And that is happening.
Yeah. Or do you just go with series?
TV shows.
The Oscars do it that way, right? It's just best movie. If you do best TV
That'd
series.
be insane. That would be insane. I think it'd be better to have a new series, you said.
It would feel a lot more of an achievement, I think, when you win best series than it you're winning drama or comedy. I'm not saying to do this,
but then you end up the same situation at Oscars is there's just a certain genre that never gets any sort of attention,
or a few genres,
and comedy movies never.
Gets, Abbott would probably never make a top series lineup. That's true.
Yeah.
So it's an imperfect system, but it probably still makes sense to have a drama and comedy just because that's the way it's always been. So for historic record, keep it separate.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, so as a result, we're going to see fewer nominees in many of the categories, including
the acting categories.
Supporting the actor categories, which was probably the biggest surprise to me because we've gotten so used to having 8 in all of those just because there are so many supporting submissions, but not this year.
Yeah, especially with Limited, because Limited combines both TV, movie, and Limited, so there's a greater shot of hitting your 240 number. But we're going to have 7 in the supporting actor, supporting actress limited races. We're going to have 7 in supporting dramas, actor and actress. Comedy is down to 6. Supporting actor comedy, supporting actress comedy will have 6. That's the Bear Abbott categories, which now makes it a little more wide open to some significant misses. I think there's the overwhelming feeling among studios and award strategists is everyone feels a little vulnerable now to where you once felt really comfortable. And I think some people can still feel comfortable. I think if you're a top 3 series in any of the categories, your actors should be fairly okay. The Bear is probably the biggest question mark because outside of
who will get in.
Yeah, because outside of Eben Moss, if you told me Oliver Platt missed, I would believe you. If you told me none of the Bear women made it, I'd also kind of believe you.
Which would be awful if that happens, but I do.
Yeah, and supporting actress comedy is very top. I mean, there seems to be a real consensus of Hannah Einbender, who had the best year ever with Hacks, Meryl Streep from Only Murders, and then 2 Abbott women, Janelle and Cheryl. That leaves 2 spots open, and pick your poison.
No, it's and the funny thing about all of this is that these months of campaigning and ultimately it some of these races are going to be even more competitive for the nominations, but there's nothing they can do about it now. It's kind of too late to you can't just have a last minute FYC event or it's what's done is done.
Well, let's discuss. I know we've all. I want to shame some people right now. I won't use names. Have you received pitches in the last 24 to 48 hours
100%.
asking if you would talk to someone to get it out really quick?
Remember we talked about this last week too. It's sort of a pox in all their houses.
But it was
but it ramped up.
It ramped. Yesterday was quite surprising how many people had the audacity.
That's just so crazy to me.
Guys, it's
honestly.
done. Yeah, it's done.
Your time has passed.
The issues are out.
Especially for shows I never even heard of, which is
that's
people
self-submitted.
That's what it is, though, yeah.
And I was even perplexed by that. But I think, people want to make their clients happy. And I was talking about this with people recently also, that personal publicists seem to be the most on edge that they've ever been. But I think as we have a shrinking industry, I think, as people are going to make fewer things. There's a sense of urgency to keep your client at the top of lists as a sought after talent. And I think people are very, very.
I'm also just going to say, can publicists? I mean, I know I don't want to call anybody out, but please don't say your job is on the line to us. I listen. This is a tough time in the industry, and I 100% understand that. But it's not on us for that. Let's not throw that out there. I think that's a little bit crazy to be throwing out and putting that on anybody in this
job
industry.
is on the line right now.
We're all stressed about work. Like, let's be honest.
Right.
No one is safe in this industry, but at the same time, like, that's just not cool to put that on somebody.
Yeah. Of all the things, like that's awkward. Well, now that we're the past couple of weeks we've been talking about the acting categories, let's talk about the biggies this week. Let's go through and let's look at what's contending right now. Let's kick off with the limited anthology series.
Oh, you want to go with the toughest one first? Well done.
Yeah, we'll work our way backward from.
Dare I say, I only feel I can take one of those to the bank as a nominee. That's Baby Reindeer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, listen, I feel very good about Lessons in Chemistry, like stuff like that. But if you like, there's always some, like, Blackbird was this last year,
Right.
2 years ago, rather. We thought Blackbird was a shoo-in because it was winning Paul Walter Hauser, it was getting Ray Liotta and all that stuff. And then in the end, he wasn't, there. So I'm not saying Lessons in Chemistry could be that, but it could be that. But I feel really good about Baby Reindeer. And then 5 slots, I think you get safe with Lessons in Chemistry, True Detective, and perhaps Ripley. And then you go with 10 shows going for the last spot.
Well, so we got Fargo, Fellow Travelers, Masters of the Air, The Sympathizer, Feud Capote versus the Swans, All the Light We Cannot See. Those are the top. And then, you also have Under the Bridge, Griselda, Expats.
Yeah.
So it's, there's a lot. So
I would actually, it's interesting that you said those 4. I know that those are the 4 in your order. I would say Fargo in my mind, has a safer number 4 spot than True Detective. And I don't know why. I just feel like Fargo conversation has been very loud this season.
So it's funny you say that because last week before I updated this week, I pulled True Detective out of the predictions because I felt like there was this kind of waning feeling. And I think that's totally possible. And I think people aren't like taking that part into account. And I think listen, is it was it a better season than it's had previously? But it's also in that same boat as Fargo. It's an anthology series that had really rough 3rd seasons and then, or 3rd and 4th for Fargo, and then are now making a comeback. And they don't typically, when they get off of you, it's very rare that they come back to you.
Right.
So it's interesting to see both of them kind of on that teetering.
Yeah,
part.
I'd agree with that.
I just don't know what I would put in its place. Like, if one of them...
To me, it's Fellow Travelers.
You think?
Yeah. Fellow Travelers is one of those shows that, and this is impossible to know, we have to, if you think a lot of people watched it, then sure, put it in. If you think that not enough people watch it, then that's why it's
right. That's it's a Showtime problem too. Is that
that's very true?
Yeah,
Showtime is not what it used to be. So you're bullish on Lessons in Chemistry. That feels like it was a long time ago.
So there's this kind of lane, and I put All the Light We Cannot See also in this lane of shows that voters look at and they say, I'm supposed to do that. And Lessons in Chemistry got like 3 DJ nods. I think Sean Levy won the DJ for All the Light We Cannot See. So that's why, and we're also in this time where the war in the Middle East is happening, so there might be just a lot of things thrown in that direction, or votes thrown in that direction. On the other hand, what helps something like Fellow Travelers, I think, sitting in the middle of Pride Month, I feel like there is more of a awareness of LGBTQ stories. Because, and I think that still factors in. I've been like kind of thinking about this part of it. 49 submissions, it's not a lot. There's a rule that I haven't been able to confirm yet. But if it still exists, then this applies. I think they used to have, if you come within like 5% of number 5, they expand the category to 6. And because there's nothing that's really dominating, and I think we're so spread out, and we go down to like number 14, and I think you say number 14 made it, I believe you. Because that's happening, I wonder if that rule still exists, I think that might kick in and we'll have 6 nominees, which actually would be
so interesting.
Pretty cool.
I just don't know what that show is. Like, I think we talked about it last week. Like, is it Lorman Bass-Reeves? Because David and that crew have been out. Expats, Lulu Wang's also been out.
Someone told me yesterday that it's Under the Bridge. They think Under the Bridge.
People loved that show.
At a moment, it might.
I think
it could be.
People love that show.
I don't know how many people watched it. I feel like in the industry, people are talking about it, and we know how excellent it is. Luckily, Jazz has written a lot about it that I've edited, and that's how I know so much about it. And that's a great thing. Like, I think, and everything I've read made me want to watch it. But I'm curious if the people outside the industry have watched it.
Well, and 2 more shows to keep an eye on. I mean, so Masters of the Air, we're talking about, the Pacific and Band of Brothers were dominant Emmy forces. So this is the 3rd spoke of that trilogy.
And the power of Spielberg.
Yeah. So how do you not at least see that nominated? And then I do feel like there's been this conversation about the Sympathizer more recently, that it definitely was in the zeitgeist. Partly because RDJ is just, everywhere. But it is a great cast. I mean, Sandra Oh, previous Emmy nominee. So maybe it just, has to settle for acting nominations, but I could see that sort of sneaking in as well.
I also do a exercise. I'm about to give away a little trade secret of mine. When I am really gauging out predictions, especially when ballots come out, I do an exercise of traveling down the ballot, because sometimes it's presented in alphabetical order A to Z, or it comes reverse Z to A. And I actually play around with it. Like, all right, I'm a voter, so what am I checking off on the way down? And then if I'm not so aware that I have 5 choices and I checked off too many, then when I get to the bottom and it says, no, you can only allow to select 5, what do you go back and uncheck? And I think a lot about that. I think about being at the top of the ballot, like, the top 3 there are Allison Jack, All the Light We Cannot See, and American Horror Story. And then you get to the bottom of the ballots, Under the Bridge of the Veil, we were the lucky ones. And I always think about what is stuff in between. Like, are you checking off a lot of clumps here? Like, a lot of those things do matter. There is like an exercise to this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Murders, the the movie made for you.
Does Feud make it in?
Listen,
or does it just go acting, or does it miss?
Listen, Ryan Murphy, Power of Ryan Murphy is out there, and I will always remember that impeachment got a writing nomination for no reason whatsoever.
All right, what's next?
Let's move to comedy. So comedy at least gets 8. That is grandfathered in. That's permanent. So we do have 8 slots. And, of course, at the top of the list is the question mark of The Bear versus Hacks. But those are 2 guaranteed ins. And then, there's a mix after that. Abbott Elementary feels like pretty much a lock.
Yeah.
Curb Your Enthusiasm, a perennial favorite. And then you've got, shows like Only Murders in the Building. You've got What We Do in the Shadows, which has been a favorite for a while. And then from there, I mean, my pick would Res Dogs. I would love to see Res Dogs finally get in. You've got shows like The Gentleman. You've got Gen V from Prime Video. You've got The Return of Frasier, which could make some waves. And then I don't know. You've got.
I think Loot is making a lot of noise. I don't know. I truly don't know one human that watches it, but I
watch it. I enjoy it. Yeah,
I'm telling you, I was where Emily was a few weeks ago, and that show is just one of those shows that starts coming up like way more often. I'm like, wait a minute, like, is there something in the water? And then I think, especially if you think Maya's about to make it, which I do, then you're like, okay, like, why aren't they like checking this off? I think the top 5 you can take to the bank: Bear, Hacks, Abbott, Curb, Only Murders. Your order can vary.
Yeah.
Gentleman is the Netflix factor. It's also, I think, the highbrow comedy choice. I think if you're a Bear voter, maybe you probably voted for Gentleman also. And then the whole Loot or Palm Royale. I think it's going to be very interesting.
I keep forgetting that Palm Royale is even in
Yes.
the comedy section. Not that it's not a comedy, because it is, but I forget that it's there.
Yeah.
But the factor of Kristen Wiig and Carol Burnett and
Allison Janney.
Laura Dern, that whole cast, that could be enough because as much as people are talking about Loot, it feels like they're talking about Palm Royale a bit more, and it actually did pretty well. Apple's always tough. It's always a question of who's watching Apple, but that one seems to have broken through.
I feel like Loot is a purity choice. I feel like that's the one that you're like, I really love Loot, so I'm gonna check that off. Palm Royale is the voter who says, I think I'm supposed to do Palm Royale because Kristen Wiig is also.
I would also not count out Ghosts. I feel like there's a chance that Ghosts could sneak in.
Oh God, me and Mike have been here before with the Ghost thing. It's one of those that you feel like
it would have happened.
Yeah.
If it was going to happen, it would have happened.
Probably right.
It's that CBS show that kind of, wavers a little bit. I was thinking of Colin from Accounts also the other day, and it's a Paramount Plus show. But it feels like It's Always Sunny. So it feels like it's very narrow road. But
the people that watch Colin from Accounts love it. I just don't know a lot of people.
Boat.
I don't think they did enough push it.
But I think it's on the rise.
Yes.
I feel like maybe Colin is 1 year away from season 2 is coming out.
I will say I swung by their FYC event at Central Park at Pacific Park.
You just winged to New York.
I just swung by at Pacific Park, and it was a very nice event, and it was filled with people, including Hannah Waddingham, who came to support them, and I thought that was really sweet.
How sweet is that?
Yeah. So it was nice to see. So I do think people. It is rising. I don't know if enough people know about it yet.
And then the FX shows, as you brought up, Mike, the Res Dogs, What We Do in the Shadows. What We Do in the Shadows, I think, is like the perennial focus it's been in a few times already. This season was quieter than others. Yeah. People weren't big on this season. It's the penultimate season, so maybe feel like they don't have as much time. And I feel like I'm getting bamboozled into the Res Dogs thing, not because I don't think it should happen. I think it should, but I feel like I'm predicting, I'm hope-dicting there.
Yeah, I like that.
Hope-dicting on Res Dogs, because we're just like, how could they let that show go off the air and not do it? Easy. They let a lot of shows
They've done it.
go away and okay, thanks, but no thanks,
Yeah.
And then the other contender that I feel like wasn't this show on 3 years ago is I'm a Virgo.
Yes.
Isn't
Truly,
that the one
know
that
when
you're
that
like,
aired.
didn't they launch that years ago, pre-pandemic?
Listen, Jarrell Jerome has been everywhere. He was just on a cover the other day. He made it Boots Riley's out there too. I wonder. It'd be weird to see that do it and not Gen V do it.
I don't think the non-industry team world is watching.
Yeah. But you
never know.
But you never ever know. And listen, with 2 years now in a row with Miss Pat director Mary Lou Belly getting in. What if Miss Pat is just on the verge, man?
That would be so cool. That'd be so cool.
Such a cool little thing.
And speaking of BET, Daria from Detroit also making the rounds.
That's also a show that it's kind of not comedy, but okay, totally. I guess we'll just keep on.
It's got funny moments.
Yeah, it's got just chuckle moments.
She's so funny.
She's. I'm telling you, she's I remember doing the panel with her, and I'm like, to have a world where her and Quinza Brunson are kind of at the same time, coming so after cool. Issa Rae, a good star creator, writer is killer.
Mike's going to put in a mention for Girls 5 Ever.
I was about to say that. Jazz was reading my mind. She saw me about to
I could feel it.
Go for it, man.
Don't forget Girls 5 Ever.
Listen, it would be hilarious if it actually got in and then got canceled. That happens all the time. That happened with Arrested Development.
So many things.
But it would be interesting. Again, travel down the ballot mentality. It gets really interesting as Abbott's at the top of that ballot, and then Wolf Like Me is at the bottom. So to think about what it is. Gen V and Ghost and Girls 5 Ever right after one another. And Frasier, I would feel better about if it was on CBS.
Said no one ever.
Well, no, I think that is the Kaminsky method.
Yes, of course.
Vote of the year. So I feel like Frasier is probably a lot closer than we all want to admit. I think Kelsey Grammer is probably on the edge as well. So that Chuck Lorre pocket, man, always shows itself.
Bookie?
So
Bookie could be Bookie. Bookie would
Stop
be
it.
nuts. Like
Bookie is not
there's
a
gonna be
real
something
show
that's
that
we're gonna go.
I don't believe that actually exists.
It's going to.
It's better than you expect. I was going to say.
See, that's
Oh,
Chuck
boy.
Lorre
Oh,
vote right
boy.
there.
The dad TV vote.
Yeah.
All right,
All
let's
right.
get to dramas. So again, we've got some obvious ones at the top with Shogun and The Crown, of course. And then you've got shows like The Morning Show and Fallout, which has had quite a past couple of months or couple of weeks. The Gilded Age, which is HBO Max's big push in drama. And then Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I gotta say, has had like quite a push in recent weeks and really is showing some momentum. And then other possibilities, The Curse, Three Body Problem over at Netflix, and then Slow Horses we've been talking
Slow
about.
Horses
Slow
is the
Horses.
dark horse.
Yeah.
I feel like Slow Horses is the red herring of this year. It's the one that has convinced everyone that it's going to be a thing.
And just what
And
you
I'm ready to be wrong about it, but I just feel like, to your point of like finding someone in real life that like watches it, aside from Jazz Tanke, like it's hard. It just doesn't come up in conversations.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. But what I feel like does come up is Winning Time, and I think, as we just said, the shows that have been canceled that got
would
nominated.
be amazing.
I could totally see that sneaking in and getting that nod after the cancellation.
Yeah.
Like, it would be really kind of amazing.
And if it does, then cue the conversation about bringing it back.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think you're definitely onto something. I think Winning Time and Ahsoka, both, because both, by the way, top and bottom of the ballot.
Between Ahsoka and Loki, I mean, Disney Plus always finds a way to
they will get in.
with that.
People forget how many Disney people are in the TV branch.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi made it in last year. Like, they will show themselves. So I think Ahsoka is on the table. I think Three Body Problems probably in because of Game of Thrones guys, and I think it's just kind of that vote that people are going to throw love at. The Curse and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, again, you have to have that question, or that question to yourself, how many people do you think watched it? Or are we just really banking on Emma Stone, Donald Glover, star power?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, definitely. But interestingly, like I think the Curse, they've done a pretty good job in campaigning as well. Again, despite the fact that they're on a network that doesn't really even exist anymore in Showtime. So that would be a huge win for them just to get that nomination. But yeah, we live in a world where Morning Show feels like pretty much a lock.
Yeah, Morning Show is 4, and that feels
100%.
very, very weird. I mean, listen, I think Fallout is really firmly kind of in there.
so too.
I agree.
I think it, Nolan factor, I think it actually performed very well. Obviously, I think it's watched widely.
That is a show that's watched from beginning to end, not just certain episodes.
And I think it's also a little bit of a lighter choice in the category because there's an argument of like, maybe you were comedy. Mr. and Mrs. Smith also. But I mean, even that The Crown is too, is also like shows that for a season that not many people loved, there just wasn't an abundance of contenders. I had a buddy today tell me that they think that Elsbeth is going to surprise.
I was about to ask you, like, do we think there could be a network surprise?
Do you remember that Frasier thing I just said?
But also,
And guess what's on CBS?
Elspeth being a drama, I'm like, huh? That's not a comedy?
This is where maybe genres just don't
It's a
matter.
dramedy.
Yeah.
It is a dramedy.
Listen, there's 6
And it's
slots.
an hour.
There's
And
6
it's an
slots
hour,
in lead
yeah.
actress, and I think everyone's looking for a number 6. Carrie Preston, man,
I mean,
Don't
she's very
sleep on
beloved.
her.
she won an Emmy during the Good Wife run, I think, and guest. But I think the thing that gives me pause, like Christine Baranski couldn't do it during Good Fight, so like
Right,
it'd be
like,
really
is she gonna
weird
pull it out?
to
Yeah.
see this happen. But again, she's also stepping into a year that it's going to allow it to happen. So Elsbeth, I think if you wanted to go for it, but Winning Time is the one that's sitting right there, and
Don't
we're like,
sleep on
guys,
the sleeper, yeah.
here it comes.
That would be amazing.
It would be hilarious. Like it just on its
I'd be
face
here
of
for
like,
it. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. There's a lot more to be told in Winning Time. All right. Well, that is it for now. We're going to take a couple of weeks off to reset and
Emily ain't gonna be here.
and look at photos on Instagram of Emily living her best life.
Watch me in Italy falling in love.
Halfway through,
That's what we're manifesting.
it's going to turn into like a Hallmark movie where we're like looking at her Instagram, like, wait, who's that dude in the background?
Wait,
and then
Emily, I have to tell you, right? It's not 90 Day Fiance the other way.
No,
like,
absolutely
he comes
not.
here. He comes here. You're not going to
any
Italy.
Wait.
problem moving
I
to
put my
Italy.
foot down.
Do you know what's
move to
happening
Italy.
in the United States? I think I'm
He's coming
okay.
here. Listen, Italy is going through some stuff too.
Right. I'm like, let me move
No,
on.
we're going to Banff, remember?
Yeah,
Come on.
we're going to Canada. I saw a couple of great looking places. There's enough room for everyone. So
Right.
we'll see how it goes.
And the next time we come back, I'll be in a new decade of my life
Oh, so
my
exciting.
gosh.
with the big 4-0. I'll be joining Jazz in that
In the
decade.
fours.
Yeah.
I'll be the little baby left in the threes.
You enjoy it.
And me, don't forget me in the 40s
yeah.
too.
I was like in the threes.
Yeah,
Threes?
20s.
I'm in my 40s
Yeah.
still. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
All
like
right.
I haven't hit 50 yet, guys.
Yeah, not until I have a party. I'm following
That's right.
Clayton's
Yeah.
lead. I'll do a So for now, I'm still 49.
Yeah.
All right, so we got some Selena Gomez coming up next. So do stick around for that. And in the meantime, keep voting and
Happy 4th of July.
happy 4th of July. Happy TCA. No, we'll be back by then.
Emmy nominations are on July 17th.
We'll be back.
17th.
We'll be back before that to give our final predictions. So,
Good.
all right, see y'all soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
After the break, we talk to Only Murders in the Building star and executive producer Selena Gomez. From Los Angeles, this is the Award Circuit Podcast. And we're back. It's the Variety Award Circuit Podcast, and I'm Michael Schneider. Selena Gomez, the multi-talented singer, actress, and producer, continues to redefine her career with her role as Mabel Mora, opposite Steve Martin and Martin Short in Hulu's Only Murders in the Building. Season 3 is currently up for your consideration at this year's Emmys.
Mabel! Mabel! The doctor said I can finally go home.
What?
Yeah.
No. The man had a full-on heart attack 5 days ago. You rush him in here, stick in a stent to prop up his creaky artery.
Nobody said creaky.
Now you're just gonna go and send him off into the world?
Mabel, I need to get back. My show opens in 2 days, and my star is about to be charged with murder.
Doctor, maybe you should just run a few more tests to be sure.
His body responded very well to the stint, although I'm sure it was quite a scare for all of you.
I wasn't scared.
Oh, is that so? You know, I was just pretending to be unconscious when I heard you wailing, I can't let him go. Come back to me, you sweet son of a bitch.
I was doing a performance for the nurses. They're big fans of mine. What am I going to do? Not be Charles Hayden Savage?
Oh, admit it. You're obsessed with me.
Can't believe I actually missed this. Come on, Putnam, we've got work to do.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
Only 3 Latinas have been nominated in the lead actress comedy category at the Emmys. Rita Moreno, who was nominated in 1983 for 9 to 5, America Ferrera, who won in 2007 for Ugly Betty and received another nom in 2008, and Jenna Ortega last year for Wednesday. Gomez also serves as one of the executive producers for Only Murders, making her only the 3rd Latina ever nominated in the Outstanding Comedy Series category. Meanwhile, at the center of Jacques Audiard's Spanish-language movie Emilia Perez, which Netflix acquired, are 3 women, Rita, played by Zoe Saldana, Jessie, played by Selena Gomez, and the title character Emilia Perez, played by Carla Sofia Gascon, who become forever bonded by their traumatic experiences in Mexico City's cartel-run underbelly. The film earned a passionate 9-minute standing ovation. The streamer is planning an orchestrated awards run for the movie, which could put Gomez in the running for her first Oscar nomination. Variety's Clayton Davis recently spoke with Gomez, and he began by asking her what it was like to share the Only Murders screen with Meryl Streep.
There are no words to describe Meryl. She simply is grace, and she is so wonderful as a human, and that shows through everything she does. Half the time she was reading lines, we were believing her, and she was like, no, I'm just running the lines. And we would listen to her. She's just so humble, and it was really impressive to see someone that I've looked up to still have that realness to her. And I appreciated that, and I will never take it for granted that I got the opportunity to work with her.
Oh, that's incredible. I've long said that, I mean, this is kind of a hot take, but
the heart and soul of Only Murders is the dynamic between Oliver and yourself, Martin Short and yourself. Maybe Oliver and Mabel are like when we get those occurrences, because obviously we get the three of you together, but when it's a one-on-one, it becomes like a joust in like American Gladiators of epic comical wonders. It really is great. Can you talk about just building that kind of rapport with Martin Short, who like very boisterous, very loud, animated, and you're hilarious as well, but you're my kind of funny, which is like reserved and
it's
sarcastic.
definitely more reactional and truthful because I'm genuinely just shocked by half the things he does. He's so quick and witty and can just get to the punch and nail it every time. I mean, there have been so many moments that I haven't been able to contain myself. And I think the rapport I have with them, starts from season 1 when I remember asking them if it was okay that I sat next to them, and they laughed and they were like, of course, sit next to us in the green room. And then from there, they slowly became these figures in my life that have really helped me grow. I mean, it's been 4 years now, and they've been a huge part of my life. And I'm just, I can't believe that that's my job sometimes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think when you look at your career, going from a child actor now to this first wave of adult actor, because I don't know what age range we
I don't know what I'm doing.
Stuff. But in this stage that you are, you really have, if anyone's arguing that there hasn't been a transition to a real serious actor, and I think you've always been, but based on the roles that you've taken on, even before Only Murders, you're about to step into Linda Ronstadt. You have Emilia Perez now. What has that felt like to gain this notoriety and respect at this stage that you've been fighting for, to be like, I'm a serious artist here, people?
Yeah, I think, film and TV, to be honest, have become such an outlet for me that I've always said this my whole life, that acting holds a special place in my heart. So I think I'm just over the moon that I get to work with people like Zoe and Carla and Jacques, and I just think that hard work pays off, and I hope I can continue to grow as an actor. I think everything in my life is such a gift, and I'm so grateful for everything, but this is my true outlet and I really enjoy it, and I hope there's more to come, but you never know. This business is crazy.
Well, would you say that acting is like the meat and potatoes of Selena Gomez in terms of her art expression, or do you?
I would like that, yes.
Any aspirations of getting on a Broadway stage? And
I think that's always been a dream / fear of mine. I think I've had so many nightmares being on stage thinking I've forgotten something.
Yeah.
So I think that's just me being anxious, but also I'm definitely not close to that. I don't know if I'm there though yet.
But working towards that for sure.
I mean, it could be a possibility.
If you took, and this is always imagined this little dream, if you were to take anxiety out of it, what would be your dream role on stage to perform?
Oh God, that would be so hard. I honestly, it wasn't a musical, but I saw this play with Scarlett Johansson, Cat on the Tin Roof.
Yeah.
And I found it really profound and beautiful. And so I don't think it would be like a big, hoopla, but I would be more interested to do something like that, to dive into a role like that.
Oh, that actually is really refreshing to hear, because usually people run to like the Sally Bowles, which by the way I thought of initially for you too. I was like, a cabaret with Selena Gomez would be pretty dope, but a play Cat on a Hot Tin Roof would also be incredible.
Yeah, I would enjoy that, I think, a little more.
Awesome. I think you've been very open. It did so in your documentary, which was very illuminating for a lot of people who struggle with anxiety, myself being included in that, about your kind of navigation of the world as someone who has it. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you feel about it today at this stage of your career?
Sure. I think the older you get, at least this is what they used to tell me when I was in my 20s, and now I'm saying it and it could be a little predictable, but I think age, you start to care less and less about things that are negative or bring you down. I think it's natural for everyone to get caught up in it every now and then. It's impossible to ignore, sometimes there's just ugly things, and it's like, I'm just so grateful that I don't know. I don't pay. I like where I am, and my anxiety is still there with most things, but I just work on it every day.
Would you say that it's definitely not holding you back as much as it once did when you were in your 20s, in terms of just
yeah.
Our discussion right now? I feel like wouldn't have happened maybe 5 years ago.
I would have been a different person as well. I'm still the same me, but I also feel like I've grown in the past, specifically 2 to 3 years, and I've been enjoying getting to know myself and my boundaries and my needs. So I feel very happy, and I feel very in control of what is good for me and what isn't.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to step out of your career for a second and give some big ups to your boo, Benny Blanco, here, because I love peanut butter and jelly, and his TikToks are everything to me right now. And his peanut butter and jelly one hit me straight here in the center.
Oh, well, he'll be so flattered.
And the shame to shame Dave Bird was exactly what I needed in that moment. I mean, has that been just a good distraction, I guess, as you navigate these very ambitious roles?
No, just a lovely addition to my life.
Do you like peanut butter and jelly, though?
Yeah, of course. I love his food. Oh my God.
Awesome. Going back to Only Murders, this season, again, hilarious. What was the defining scene for you this season to film? And just
it was really great to have Meryl back and see the evolution of the relationship between her and Oliver. That's really the safest thing I can give away, but it was really touching when we were all a part of big scenes together, and seeing that be something that started from season. It's just elevated in a completely beautiful way.
Is there any truth to and this is internet rumor mill, so it's not real rumor mill, but is there any truth to thinking that this could be the last season, only because you guys have really leaned into everywhere we go there's a murder, but people are I think we have to get to that point where the FBI steps in and you guys go to jail.
Totally. I honestly don't. I don't know what the future holds. I just know that every season we put it in as if it was our last. So I would say we put everything that we've got into the show, and I'm really just happy with how it's blossomed. So I'm happy right now, but I don't know what's gonna.
Awesome. I do have a little bit of a history that you could make this year to share with you, and don't want to jinx it, knock on wood, just putting it out there. But if and when Only Murders is nominated for Outstanding Comedy Series again, you're an EP on the show, will be your third nomination. Mm-hmm. You will be the most nominated Latina.
Really?
In that category's history, I believe. And this is why I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, we're just gonna say that a little bit.
Yeah, but I think 95%. I think you'll be the most nominated Latina producer in any category. But that one I have to really double check, but it's big.
You're very kind. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'd have to triple, quadruple check.
I know for sure in comedy series because Salma Hayek was nominated twice. So you're nominated. You're tied with her, and now third time you would stand on your own.
Oh,
what does that feel like? What does that feel like for you? And what does that feel like in terms of messaging for other little Selena Gomez's that are out there and may want to like get into this business, even though they feel invisible sometimes?
I don't know. I mean, see, like that, I didn't even know that. So I think for me, these little nuggets of information is what keeps me going, and I think that it makes me proud. It makes, I mean, I've always been proud of my last name, of my heritage and my culture, but I've never, not never. I just need to stop more in my life and realize that like that this is so great. I can't wait to like tell my dad. If it's true, by the way. But
the first part definitely is. I'm talking about in any category. I will get back to you on that one, but definitely. But
it's very sweet. That's very sweet, and honestly, I'm very grateful and honored.
Oh, that's awesome. You should be proud. Listen, talked about it with America Ferrera last year when she got her Oscar nomination. Sometimes it's okay to stop and accept it and take it in and be like, dude, I killed it. Like I did it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, she was so wonderful in her speech.
Yeah. And then we're knock on wood. We're waiting for our Selena Gomez acting nomination this year. And I gotta give you some good big ups here because I think on paper I would have never thought that you would kill it in Mabel the way you do from season 1 until now. Because it just you don't know what someone can do until you see them do it, and you have just been consistently like running through her. She's got to mean something to you and what she brings and what she represents. Can you talk about what it's like to play her?
Sure. I think the first season was very much mirroring where I was. Moving to New York for the first time for longer than a month. I've shot a few things here, but then being on my own, having my own apartment, and then, the combination of getting to know Steve and Marty and getting to know the character, it was as if we were writing it together, not saying we write anything because I think Steve does and Marty, but I'm not a writer. Our writers are fantastic. And so I think it's fun that we ended up kind of just becoming these characters in a little bit. And so I don't know. I think she is a little bit me, but I'm hopefully not as invested in morbid things. And I hope that I don't know. I guess she is an extension of me. I'm a weirdo, but I know. And my friends are 70.
Except you're weird. You have to own your weird. I own it too.
And I really hang out with 70-year-olds. I spend half my year. And they're my favorite humans.
Yeah. I mean, you have some really, I don't think I have as great 70-year-olds in my life, but those are pretty good ones to have.
Very lucky.
To go back to Emilia Perez for a moment and actually to touch on, Latina voices again, big moment at Cannes. I know in the film you sing in Spanish, and obviously you're a musician, so that's not like new for us who watch you for so long. But what was it like to take on a musical that also has such representation in the middle of Pride Month that's coming? That we're in Pride Month. What does that feel like?
It's it's beautiful. I think this film is actually beautiful timing in a way. But I loved it. It wasn't the typical music I was used to. It did feel very grand and open and big, and I had never really done that before. So it was fun working with Camille and her whole family, actually, even her little daughter. I just enjoyed myself. Like it was a whole part of style of singing that I had never done before.
Where did you guys film? Because you guys didn't film in Mexico, right?
No, we filmed in Paris, and it sound so confusing, but the sets were unbelievably realistic. It was crazy. Obviously, nothing could ever be the same as what it would have been like in Mexico, but I truly thought that the departments did such a good job. And when we were in our mode, we were in our mode.
Can you talk about the moment of realization that you're being directed by Jacques Godard? Like this,
Well,
like the auteur of auteurs?
I'm so lucky because people in my life have great taste. And so I think that it's so nice that I learned from other people who, I guess, who would be an amazing person to work with, even writing or whatever, or just produce, just anything. And I think that's what's helped me kind of develop my taste. It started with my mom, and then she helped me get Spring Breakers. Little did I know that would be one thing that I'm really proud of. And it's very out there, but it is, it's all about the taste that's around me that's helped me develop, the taste in that. So me and Zoe and Edgar and Carla were always just saying it over and over again. We're like, I cannot believe we're being directed by him. And it was every moment. I was almost like smiling, even when he'd give me direction about being sad. I was just so happy.
What does and I'm always interested at the regular people version of us, right? Like, what is Selena Gomez watching like in the evening, like when they want to watch a movie, or just like I think you've spoken publicly about like watching The Office or Friends. I think
kind of, but I think it depends. When it comes to movies lately, I'll put on movies that I've seen before, so it doesn't really. So I don't have to pay much attention to it, and it can be like random. But then, yes, at the end of the night, I would say the biggest one right now is How I Met Your Mother. I know that's like a major throwback, and definitely, a long time ago, but I think it's just like Friends, white noise.
Yeah. And people are still listening to it and watching it. So that and people still need to discover it, because remember, those young kids, they don't know all these great.
No, totally. Well, Friends is always going to be the OG.
I just have a couple more questions. I'm assuming you can tell me everything about season 4 of Only Murders. So just tell me the beginning, the end, and who did it.
Okay. Sounds good. No, I think honestly what's been really great is having all of these guest stars that want to be there. It's always so nice when everybody wants to show up on time and everyone wants to have a good time and laugh together and just make a show. And that's what it felt like this whole season. And every actor just Molly Shannon, Richard Kind, Zach, Galifianakis. I could not compose myself very much this season, and I'm looking forward to the blooper reel because it's just too good to be true. But yes, I think my character is kind of wanting to lead the whole thing, but the heart behind it is definitely Steve's journey of losing his, one of his best friends. And so I want to find out what happens. Marty's living his Marty life, his Oliver life. He's in and he's out. And then I think Steve, Charles, his character is just is going through that loss.
That's interesting. Thank you for that. Linda Ronstadt.
No updates on that. I think for me, I'm taking everything day by day. I'm so happy with how everything's going, but I want to take a little second to breathe when I'm done shooting. So
yeah, how much more time do you guys have left?
Not that long. I think we have a few, like 2 weeks, and then we're good. But I'll be sad.
Only because I feel like it's premiering like in 2 seconds.
It really is. It really is. But it's gonna make me sad. It's like you don't know how to feel.
All right. What is the next thing after Only Murders wraps? Obviously, you're going to go on the Emilia Perez tour, getting that, promoting it out there. But what will be the next project you take on?
I don't know. I think that's the best part. I've been reading things. I've also been, excited about producing a few things. And then, the running Rare Beauty and running the Impact Fund is so meaningful to me and gives me so much purpose. So that'll always be something I'm working on. But I don't know. I'm going to see where the world takes me and see what captures my attention.
Okay. And then in terms of those, this is something I'm always interested in. Do you recall, and we ask this often, the movie or TV show that did it for you as a kid, where like it lit the fire and you were like, I can't do anything else. I gotta go.
Oh, it was for sure Friends. And then sadly, Girl Interrupted.
that's awesome.
At a way too young age.
It's very interesting. My daughter just asked us the other day if she could watch. Like she was like, we were like, "Hey, can you watch a movie with us?" I was like, "What do you want to watch?" And she said, "Girl Interrupted." I was like, "No." Like,
it's like, I was a little maybe too young, but I remember my mom really loved the acting and the work behind everything. So when I was watching it, I was in a way watching their performances. And I think that's, And then I would give Friends its own right, because that's where comedy came into my life.
Yeah, awesome. Just looking ahead, and I always want to ask this, is there anything that you want to bring some focus to, something I didn't ask about, something you just feel very passionate about?
No, right now I'm happy and I'm grateful to have talked to you again. And I'm good.
Yeah, I do. I don't know if you know this, and maybe you do, or your team definitely knows this. This little small viral video went out of me and you. I didn't take it. Someone else did at the Golden Globes when we saw each other, and then we gave each other a hug, and it like went out.
That's so cute.
And people were like, "Oh God, you guys are best friends." I was like, "I wish," but it was actually a cute little moment. And it's like lived in perpetuity on TikTok and social media. So that's fun.
That's sweet.
Oh, I have to ask about music. I mean, is there any new music coming in your future?
Yeah, not right now.
No? The smirk tells me other things, though.
No. Genuinely, I'm happy right now with what I've got. So we'll see.
That's Only Murders in the Building star and executive producer Selena Gomez. The series is now streaming on Hulu. HBO's The Sympathizer is based on Viet Thanh Nguyen's 2016 Pulitzer Prize-winning novel of the same name. In the HBO adaptation, Hoa Xuande plays the captain, a spy for North Vietnam who comes to Los Angeles and finds himself with conflicted loyalties.
If it's not about Sophia, why do you hate me so damn much?
Who says I hate you?
Then what? You envy me?
I don't know, Sonny. Perhaps it's because you seem unburdened. Because you simply picked a side, and then you lived with the consequences. I have something to confess to you.
So you do love her. Just get it out.
No, I already told you I'm not here for Sophia. I asked you before if you were a communist. And you said you would tell me if you were. But what if I told you that I was a communist?
What's the point of playing such a game?
It's not a game. I am a communist. I've been an agent for years. For the revolution. I infiltrated the secret police and sent intelligence back to Hanoi. Even now, I report on reactionary activities and do everything I can to undermine them. In fact, me handing you these documents now is part and parcel of my anti-revolutionary strategy.
You want me to say I'm a communist too?
I'm being honest for once.
Did the general put you up to this? You two are setting me up to report on some concocted CIA conspiracy so you can discredit me and my criticism? That's what you secret police do, isn't it? How stupid do you think I am? What, did you think you'd suddenly be attracted to Sophia again if you said you were a communist?
I told you I'm sick and tired of talking about Sophia.
Variety's Jazz Tanke spoke with Hoa Xuande about how he felt like he won the lottery and landing the lead role in The Sympathizer, starring opposite Robert Downey Jr. and Sandra Oh.
It's been sort of like a weird but wonderful journey so far. Just, because you spend so long doing this, you're locked away for months trying to make this project and trying to tell the story and everything. And then all of a sudden the world gets to see it. And it's, the first 2 episodes of it. And it's funny because I'm sitting back here and I know what's left to come. And I guess people are experiencing for the first time and just hearing what their thoughts are. It's been kind of an exciting and kind of fun journey to hear what other people think of what this story is that has sort of meant so much to me for so long, and now I'm letting it go for other people. But yeah, it's a new experience in that way, but also just just everything that's come so far with this whole experience has been just amazing, beyond my wildest of dreams.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like this is the first time, your acting debut. You've been acting before, but I think this is the biggest one that I think in terms of fan interaction or audience interaction. Right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've been doing this for a while now, like a good decade or so. And, I'm so used to just doing my bit and moving on and just, having people do their thing and whatever they need to do and then tell me about it if they've seen it. But now it's like, just talking about it, even to you, and to really dissect what this was about, what my process was, what it's been like. And, I guess it's kind of been weird and wonderful to me that people are so interested in my work, because I guess I'm, a huge part of this show, but it's been a wonderful experience, I guess, trying to explain how this has all come about. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting because you and I, we've spoken about your audition process in the past and just the waiting and not knowing, and then you finding out that you did get the part. But I was also reading you felt you weren't right for it. talk about that shift of and the doubt as an actor that you go through.
Yeah. I mean, I still, I'm so proud of the work that I've done, and I'm really happy with how, HBO and A24 and Team Downey and Rhombus Media have really been diligent and supportive in this process of trying to get this story right. And how much that has meant to just me stepping into this project to that everybody was really interested in trying to tell this story. And so, sorry, I've completely blanked. What was the question?
So when you got, we talked about your audition process.
Yes, sorry.
And then, you got the part, but I also read that at some point you felt you weren't right for it. So where was the shift of you being where was the doubt?
I guess that's what I was leading to. I guess, having the support and the diligence of everybody trying to tell this story accurately and seeing how much work people were putting into this, it made me realize that just the audition process in itself, as long as it took, was really a matter of trying to find the right person to tell this story. And everything that I had felt about the book when I had read it, and all the emotions that I carried and the weight of the character and the responsibility that I felt, it slowly grew on me, and it slowly, solidified in me that I was the person to tell this. And then I had to be confident in that, and the choices that I made were right. My instincts were right. And that was, it took a couple of weeks, I think, to really feel that. But once I understood that, there's a greater story here to tell, and that we're all, all the right people are here to tell the story, I really took that on board and just stuck to all my guns and stuck to my instincts and just made the choices that I made. And and I'm proud of that.
Yeah. I'm so happy you said yes. And I'm so happy we're talking about it, because it is such an incredible character, but it's also a burden, as you say, to play the captain. And just everything he represents and this journey that he goes on. And we can spoil it because, hopefully by the time people would have seen a lot more of the show and hopefully they'll be inspired to read the book. But talk about the burden of playing this character.
Yeah. Because I think first and foremost, when you get depictions of the Vietnam War or even the trauma that's post-war, that conflict of that time, a lot of the times it's from a very Western perspective. It's, from the American point of view, more so than most. And, a lot of the depictions of these wars are usually of, I guess, the soldiers and the allies in the jungles fighting fighting this really traumatic and devastating war that's, inflicted, so much harm across that generation of people, even Americans of the time. And a project like this finally puts, I guess, a Vietnamese cast at the forefront of telling the other side of the story, a story that I guess we haven't really heard or even seen much on TV, because, a lot of the time when we tell conflict, this particular conflict, the war in Vietnam, it's usually been it usually marginalizes and sidelines Vietnamese characters to just people who are being, bombed and killed and are in need of savior. But, the Vietnamese stories are just as complex, and there's varying perspectives that are just as valid and traumatizing and devastating. And I'm glad that we're able to put that at the forefront and be able to tell these stories with Vietnamese characters as leads. And so that weighed heavily on me, and we all felt the responsibility of that and doing justice to these stories and doing justice to, telling a story in a way that hasn't been told before. Yeah.
Yeah. And, the storytelling is in very good hands with director Park. Not only directing the first 3 episodes, but also as the showrunner. And then you've got Team Downey too, and you've got, as you said, this incredible cast, Sandra, and you've got, incredible Vietnamese actors too. What was that like? Like how, you're in great hands at that sense. Like, so how did that reassure you to be like, yeah, I'm doing the right thing?
Yeah. I mean, if you've got people like director Park and, Robert Downey Jr. and Sandra Oh, if they want to be a part of this story, if they want to help tell this story, that it's going to be a story well told. So I kind of just felt really, I don't know, I felt like this was going to be a big deal for this show. But, I've grown up watching a lot of director Park's, movies and films, and we're all very familiar, with Old Boy. But, I found myself watching even things of late like Decision to Leave, and just his meticulous attention to detail and how he crafts like even thrillers and how he inserts little clues here and there. And, I've grown up watching shows that I love mining details and clues and things like that. And they're the stories that stick with me, that when a storyteller has that, acute sense of awareness to the little things that help bring a story, that thought-provoking nature to it, like long after you've watched it, they're the things that I look for. And so when I was lucky enough to be a part of this project, I knew that like I had to step up, that I had to be a part of this. And if I could do that, if I could just stick to my choices and listen to my instincts and just trust that everything that I was doing, that they had chosen me, that I could rise up to the occasion and be part of this, awesome storyteller, someone who everything that he does is, gold. Yeah.
I just want to go back to something for a moment. And I was just thinking, what is it like driving around LA and seeing your, these giant billboards, and that's you like front and center on them? Yeah.
Well, it's funny because like driving down Sunset, right? The first time I saw my billboard, I guess it's weird to say my billboard, but up on the HBO building, a couple of weeks ago, was just like so astounding. I had dinner in front of the billboard, not to my own knowledge. My publicist Chase, organized a dinner there just for all of us to get together and obviously plan this weird and wonderful journey together. But we were having dinner right outside the massive HBO billboard on Sunset, and I was just looking up at it for like ages, thinking to myself like, never in a million years would I think that I would be able to be on a show, let alone have a billboard with my face on it like that. So it's been crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. The other thing that I love about the show is like, yes, a lot of the event that it's dealing with is so traumatic.
Yeah.
But the way there's humor in the script so that it's not like a heavy watch. Like, what is that like for you as an actor to just be going through that, especially like the captain and
it's because when I remembered when I read the book, I knew that it was satirical. I knew it was filled laden with a lot of sarcasm and very pointed sort of criticism towards certain aspects of beliefs and ideologies and stuff like that. And innately, I kind of felt like that was a part of me anyway, to just jibe and jeer at things, life in general. But what really caught me was the devastation and the trauma that a lot of these characters were bearing throughout their journey in this book. There's so many passages that are so elaborately and well articulated by the author, Viet Thanh Nguyen. And when I read that, I just wanted to carry those into this project with me, and it weighed heavy on me to try and be truthful to those emotions. And so I guess sometimes I got caught up, I feel like, trying to play that too much and then forgetting that, wait a minute, a lot of these moments are very satirical, that they're very pointed, and, you let the story tell the emotions, and you don't have to bear that responsibility so much, because there's a lot of humor to be had in this, especially with a lot of, Robert's characters, in that nature. But yeah, I had to remind myself that we're actually making fun of a lot of things that you don't have to bear the burden of that so much.
Yeah. Is there a scene that, speaking of the humor, is there a scene that you just couldn't deliver with a straight line, or you couldn't receive one that was just like, this might have taken 3 takes because we were laughing so much?
Yeah. Like, I mean, there were so many, but, especially sitting around the steakhouse, with all of 4 Robert's characters. And that day was, the 3 days that we shot that was hilarious in itself, because you're watching Robert at work, and you're literally watching him dress down, dress up, get into his next character. And I think even he was potentially getting a bit confused himself as to which character he was in, because he's got so many characters coming out of him all at once. And Director Park had to sort of even guide him into like, hang on, we're here, and this is the part of the story that we're at, and this is where your character needs to be. And he's like, oh yes, of course. But just shooting so many scenes with Robert, he kept things fun and alive and fresh. And so I remember that day when we were shooting that, there were so many quips and jokes that were coming out from across the table. And he was like, I could see his brain working like while he was doing this character, and he was having ideas of what he would do for his other character. And I'm sitting there responding to both of them at the same time. And I'm like, hang on, we've only got one Robert to deal with at the same time, so that was actually really fun. Just moments like that. Yeah.
And it's a brilliant scene, and the magic of editing is just that. I think it's the quintessential American setting, which they've said.
What is it? The quintessential American institution, the steakhouse, as he calls it. Yeah.
And all of his characters are reflective of America at that point.
Yeah.
The show also shot in Thailand.
Yeah.
Which is, again, a great testament to the production designers and the location managers for turning 2020, Vietnam. To Vietnam.
Yeah.
What was it like shooting those scenes? The one scene that is so painful, that it's in the pilot episode, that there's the beautiful scene with the baby, and then they escape at the end, which was so crazy, You watched it on the big screen, and but talk about shooting in Thailand.
Look, it's weird because the set design and the art departments and all the people that are involved in making those locations look like period Vietnam, 1970s, 75. It was so good that it felt like every time we were going to set, we were stepping into Vietnam. Like, you could have mistaken so many of those streets for being Vietnam. Obviously, Thailand, like, it was the only way you could tell that it was probably Thailand in some of these sets was obviously the signage, if you look past the set, that was in Thai. But yeah, it it was not. It helped us a lot, as I guess even cast, to feel like we didn't have to play a time, or like we didn't have to feel like we had to imagine what it was like to be at a certain time or place, because we were there with what they did. But they turned a military compound into the American airport base in which we escaped from. So they changed this whole base into this airport, with the signage, the American Air Force Base or something. And they painted whole hangars with, like the division numbers, and they had all these army trucks, and they put half a Hercules on the back of a train, and then they had these cranes and everything that just made you feel like you were about to escape. So and when we came to shoot that scene, especially at the end of episode 1, they had these explosions that were set up, obviously not real, but when you have 200 extras running down like a runway, and you're running amongst them, and things are exploding left, right, and center of you, and then you've got this Hercules half a plane running away from you, you can't help but feel like you're almost there. So it didn't take us much to feel like we were there, and it just you can imagine it would have been so devastating to have been doing that for real. Yeah.
Yeah. Later on in the series, the captain, so, for those who haven't seen it, the captain goes from Vietnam to Los Angeles, and then he goes back. And he's kind of facing this form of his true self, right?
Yeah. Coming back to Vietnam at the end, right? Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? Because the captain gets sent to America, and he's obviously having to do his job, and he, a part of him, which is kind of revealed in the very first episode, he can't help but feel American. He can't help but be fascinated by American culture, and in a weird way, it's become a part of him. And although he's fighting for his cause, for his country and everything like that, a part of him sort of resides in America, everything that he learns, and his beliefs and everything like that. But when he comes back, it's like everything that he feels like he was fighting for, to see that his country united, to be a part of that thing that he's been fighting for so long, thinking that, I guess, this is the true person that he was supposed to be all along, gets completely, confused and muddled, as we see. Am I allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, let's go full on spoilers.
Yeah, as we see in episode 7 within the re-education camp, because, when you fight for a cause for so long, but you forget the reasons why, and you're just so tunnel vision about what it is that you were fighting for, I feel like anybody gets confused, so, like I pose this question to anybody, like, have you ever believed something for so long and then thought, and sort of, especially in these careers, like, I guess even as an actor, I've had to be tunnel vision for so long to try and be an actor. And the moment someone even tests you and asks you, is this even really worth it? Or is this really what you want to do? Or, who are you really? It starts to mess with you. And so I feel like for the captain, it's just like he's been fighting for this cause for so long. He thinks this is who he truly is. And then he's been put into a camp where he's having to dissect all parts of himself and really figure out, who are you? It's confronting for anybody, I feel. Yeah.
Speaking about American culture, you live in Australia.
Yeah.
What? Tell me some things that you love about visiting LA. And things that you're like, wow, this is kind of amazing. I'm curious.
No, I mean, America's just, it's so vast, big and wide compared to even, where I come from, Sydney, which is the biggest city in Australia, but it's not even half as big as compared to LA. But, I think the thing that I love about Americans is Americans aren't shy, and Americans will tell you what they think. They're very proud about how they think about things, and they are not afraid to just give something a go and be so assertive about doing it. I think for me, I am not a lot of those things. And so having to figure out my way in which I feel comfortable about being, I guess, even confident, or even being assertive, or even being proud of who you are. It's. I feel like it's very ingrained in the American culture to really figure that out quickly and be that. Whereas in Australia, people like to sort of sit down and humble themselves and be a little bit more like, not rocking the boat, not rocking the ship, so to speak. Yeah.
No, it's like that as a Brit too.
Yeah.
It's just like,
right.
wait, what? What did? Okay.
Yeah. If you say so, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, if that's what you think, yeah.
So by the ending, I think it's what everybody wants to take away from it. How is the captain at the end? Like, where would you say?
I guess at the very end, there's a sense of hope and renewal, I would like to think. It's really funny because, I guess one of the biggest themes within the show is this phrase, this sentence that gets pitched to him at the very end that is repeated throughout the entire series, and I guess people pick it up. But it's, the idea that nothing is more precious than freedom and independence, right? Nothing is more precious than freedom and independence. There you go. And I think a lot of the time when we hear of that sentence or that rhetoric, especially even in the West and in Western ideology, our focus is towards the freedom and the independence. I guess what I'm getting to is that this very same sentence was a sentence that was ushered by President Ho Chi Minh to his people after he learnt it in America, because he studied in the States. But when he brought it back to Vietnam, it had a slightly different emphasis every time that he repeated it. And in Eastern ideology, it's almost as if the emphasis is actually on the nothing, to be so humbled that you are a part of everything else, and that you are nothing, that you are whole, but you're also at one with everything else, and that the emphasis is actually taken away from freedom and independence, and actually focused on more what it feels like to it's almost like what it feels like to be absolutely unimportant, insignificant. And I guess towards the end of the show, you see the captain having this deliberation, so to speak, and this dilemma within his ideology as to what even that phrase means to him. And it's that test between the pull of the West and the East within him. And then he suddenly realizes that the lesson that he should have learned this whole time was to humble yourself for the cause of what is everything that is beyond you, as opposed to focusing on the things that you feel would make you, that would free you, that would liberate you. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird and convoluted way of explaining it. I hope people get that. But yeah, it's a really interesting phrase that I've even within myself thought about for a lot of this show, and I'm still kind of figuring out what that means to me. Yeah.
I think it makes you question. You're constantly questioning it, right?
Yeah.
Questioning it.
Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself from playing the captain and being on this show?
Yeah. Well, as an actor, I definitely learned that I could run a marathon, that I definitely learned how to, just to trust myself to work every day and just to pull it out of my ass every day, because I was on set every day and I had to just make it work. And, I didn't focus on the end goal. I just focused on the day-to-day and the week by week. And I knew if I did that I could do it, and I did it. And so that's something that I've learned about myself, that I could do it. But I guess even within the role, like from the captain, it's like, or this story, I feel like I've learned a sense of, it's going to be a bit cliche to say, but, I think all too often we put people into good and bad categories, that I think a lot of the time we're so quick to judge what people's motives are, and not recognizing that sometimes to do good, you have to struggle, you have to do things that aren't necessarily the thing that we all believe to be good. And, a lot of the times people are struggling and trying to survive. And that eventuates in some very horrible and devastating ways. But, unfortunately it happens, but we just have to try and, reach out over the other side, even if sometimes it doesn't feel like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. How did you say goodbye to the captain? Because, as we said, there are traumatic events and, there's a lot of questioning, but, with this character that's so well fleshed out, right? But it takes a toll. So how did you?
Yeah, I don't really know if it's not like I hold him, close to my heart every night, and I struggle to let him go. But there's parts of playing this character that I inherently feel like are a part of me, and so like that there's stuff that they're things I could probably never let go. But on the most part, yeah. I think it's especially the journey of the story and what the captain has to go through. I think about a lot of those things a lot, friendships and loyalties and things that we do, things we lie about, things we do to save face, things we do in order to protect others. And I think about a lot of those things because we do it in everyday life. We always do it. And I think about whether they're sometimes the right thing to do or whether they're even necessary to do. So I guess they're little lessons and things that I've even thought long before I've wrapped this up last year, and I'm still pondering. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. All right. I'm going to have a couple of fun questions for you. Take me back to when you were a little boy. Like, what were the films or TV shows that you were watching? And like, what were like, oh, I want to do that one day.
Yeah. Well, if we're talking about like kids, I was watching a lot of Teenage Ninja Turtles. I don't know what that taught me, but it was really fun. I just found it fascinating that turtles were cool and they were led by a rat. But yeah, look, I think films that had a really big emotional impact on me are just. Sometimes I listen to myself and I feel like I'm just very attracted to that emotional trauma, and I just have to lighten up a little bit. But I am. I when I watch films, the stories that I gravitate towards are the stories where people have a burden that they're trying to unload, or a burden that they're trying to bear with each other, with other people. And I think one of my first films Actually, one of my favorite films is Forrest Gump, because I just love the journey of a character who has to bear this, inability to fit in with other people, and he is able to make it through in life carrying his cross, so to speak. And those uplifting coming-of-age stories are always stories that I've always gravitated towards. But the other film that I really loved is, have you heard of Requiem for a Dream?
Yes.
Ellen Burstyn has this beautiful monologue as a mother telling her son how proud she is of him and how she just wants to wear this red dress. And I was a really rebellious kid as a child, and so I would have a lot of fights with my parents, especially my mum. And when I saw that part of when I saw that scene, when I saw Ellen Burstyn breaking down into tears, but also just trying to be really happy for herself and her son, it just kind of reminded me of my relationship with my mum, and I guess what all of our fights were really about, how she just wanted to be proud. So that really emotionally affected me, and since then I've just been intrigued as to how an actor can do that, and that's why I pursued this career, to try and figure that out.
Love that. The brilliant Darren Aronofsky and cinematography by Matthew Libatique. It's just, it's a classic. I'm not going to let you off the hook. Who's your favorite turtle?
Oh.
Or who was?
I'm going to say Leonardo da Vinci, because he's the,
best.
Well, he's the one that's got all the crazy ideas, and yeah, for me, it's just like, I was also as crazy. Like I had all these weird and wonderful, imaginative things that I thought I could do and whatnot. And I related to him the most.
Did you see the Seth Rogen one, the one that they did?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh, you've got to watch it.
I've kind of fallen off the bandwagon, but I need to get back onto it. Yeah,
you've got to watch the film. It's such a great throwback, but it's just so well done.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. They've left it open too for a sequel.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's funny. And
maybe that's something I could work on next.
There you go. Let's put it out there. Yeah. But have you seen? Are you able to watch The Sympathizer
right now?
Yeah.
I've watched all of them now, but I've kind of put them to rest at the moment, just because I'm trying to, because my problem is if I watch something too much, I'll start ruminating and then rethinking, and then I'll start to really invest myself back into it. And I'm trying to sort of let it go. When you tell stories and you make art and you do that, you've done it for so long and you put yourself in it for so long that there has to be a point where you remove yourself. So I've tried to not watch it since the premiere. Yeah. I've tried to just give it myself a little bit of distance, just a bit of clarity, and just a bit of just so I can focus on other things. And because I can stay in it for too long if I don't help myself.
Yeah. So we're going to manifest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 for you, and you're going to go away and watch it.
Yeah. There's other things I'd like to manifest, but that can be one of them.
Tell me. Let's put it out there.
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about even just the recent, Oscars list of directors that have just been, doing their thing, I've looked up to Denis Villeneuve for a long time, and one of the films that has also a huge impact on me is Arrival, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing that, and it just stayed with me for months. I was like ringing people and talking about it, and people were like, people who hadn't seen it were like thinking I'm crazy. It's just like, it's this story about aliens, but like they teach us how to figure ourselves out, and they're whatever. And it just sounded so cartoonish the way I was explaining it to people, but it's such a deep and meaningful human story that just happens to have an extraterrestrial element to it. It's just stories like that creates big worlds and beyond our imaginations, but that has a really simple message at its core that, we can actually work together and be better and all that sort of stuff. Like, I'm a fan of all that sort of stuff. So that's had a huge impact on, I guess, had a huge impact on me, I guess. And I'm a fan of Quentin Tarantino.
We all are.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. I would love to be in his last project if
he does it. I mean, last time of recording, he's not, but
we'll see. If he's already done it, then that's cool. But if he hasn't, look no further.
That's Hoa Xuande, star of HBO's The Sympathizer. Catch up on episodes of the HBO series streaming right now on Max. And that's it for this edition of Variety's Award Circuit Podcast. Aaron Greenewald edited this episode, and Michael Schneider is the producer. Be sure to subscribe to the Award Circuit Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. Also, head on over to Variety.com and click on the Award Circuit tab to find the latest awards predictions and key races, as well as your daily fix of news, analysis, and reviews. For Jazz Tanke, Emily Longaretta, and Clayton Davis, I'm Michael Schneider, and we'll see you on the circuit.